another Ants on a Rock video. Welcome to the Ant Corner. This is another full update on all my colonies in the Ant Corner. So I'll start with the large tank. Still going really nicely. Lots of things developing. Almost daily changes. The pond has been developing and getting further stock, getting ready for our possible vampire crabs. We've been adding in more and more insects, developing the landscape, a few extra plants come in, and generally they're doing really well. Going over here, you can see a couple of ants. It's still early morning. Now I find with my Polyrhacus dives, they don't actually come out much during the night. They're more of a daytime species, and by about 11 o'clock at night there's very few of them left in the outworld at all. So early morning they're just starting to come out still, but they are doing really well. As I said in my video updates on this tank, they are eating almost non-stop now. I am giving them carbohydrates almost daily and protein almost daily, and they just destroy it all. 3 queens, so I expect there's quite a lot of brood. I will have a look behind the cardboard at some point and see how many eggs are in that nest, eggs and larvae. If you look just above the leaves, you can see the entrance hole for the nest. There's also another one in the jug in there. And on to the next colonies. You'll have to excuse all the mess on the shelves at the moment. I'm in the middle of moving things about. So the Shaolin are in an ant hut nest, high humidity. Heat cable on one side, but only on a low temperature, just to give them warmth throughout the night when it does get a bit chilly down here in Dorset. Not many in the outworld at the minute. There's probably around 30 ants in that colony at the moment. They're doing alright. Still quite slow. Oh, there's one. Zoom in a little bit. Can't really see through the mess of the outworlds. They all need a good clean at the moment, but that's a Friday job in the ant corner. And next, just below, I have a colony of Mesa barbarus. Again, I don't see these that often. Every couple of days they'll come out, swarm the seeds, swarm the foods, destroy a load of water, but apart from that they generally stay in their test tube, even though this one is almost dry now. I have stuck in a new test tube, and they've gone in and out and in and out, but they don't seem that bothered. So they might just be drinking from it. But it's there if they want to move their nest site. Whatever, I'm happy. Lots of workers, lots of majors. That colony's doing really well. Moving on to my Lasius nigers, this is the Conquerors. Can't see many in the outworld at the moment, but there is an isopod. Now I did have a massive colony of isopods in here. They had grown to the point I have actually taken some out and put them back into my mother culture. You see these quite a lot. There's probably around 50 or so workers. If we come down here, I actually found that's where the nest starts. Really thin bit of sand, and then it dives in back there somewhere. They possibly even dug under this. I'm not really sure, but I know that's where they've been going lately. I stuck this waxworm in yesterday and it looks almost untouched. Again, if you look carefully, the springtails in here are just ridiculous. There's almost more springtails than there is sand. which ain't a bad thing really. Just the culture's done really well in here. And moving up, we have isopod shelf, springtails, and the rebels. Again, this is last year's Niger. Not many in the outworld at the moment. They have access to their original test tube still, and another ant hut nest. Doesn't need any heating or anything like that, so I just leave it as it is. There's one. Now these are one of my more active colonies actually. There's probably around 50 to 70 workers at the moment. I haven't looked in the test tube in a long time, but when I last did, it was absolutely full with brood. They're doing really, really well. They eat lots. And I'm expecting I'm going to have to move them into a larger setup within the next month or so, which obviously I already have pre-prepared. It'll just be a matter of disconnecting the test tube, sticking another larger outworld there, adding an extra ant hut nest there, and popping the test tube inside the larger outworld so that they can just leave on their own accord. So that's the plan. Next ones. Now for those of you that don't recognise this, this is the large multi-species tank from downstairs. I had to put it in another room because there just wasn't enough room in the ant corner. But I do get to watch it on a 24-hour live stream via this over Wi-Fi to an iPad. So it's not too bad. I don't really miss much. Right next to it, if we just take that away, we have our colony of Merino Plus Bicolour, also known as the Valentines. These are one of my favourite colonies. The poor little buggers have been moved several times, been in the large tank, out the large tank, had another outworld, had this built for them. As you can see, they love to dig. The whole of the surface of the outworld was sand, and that is all soil and carbon that they have pulled out from below. As you can see, we did layers. It goes sand, soil, sand, soil, sand, soil, sand, all the way to the bottom, so that I can roughly keep track of how deep they've dug. From what I can tell, they're now entering the carbon layer, which is at the bottom. So I'm happy with that. They're doing all right. They've been eating their protein. The queen's quite healthy. The colony seems healthy. There's about 100 workers in this colony as well. They might get a little bit bigger, but Merino Plus Bicolour don't actually get much bigger than a few hundred workers, which is ideal for this little setup here. I love to watch these ants. They're one of my favourites. I've got them on a little heat cable which goes around the back of the tank, and we've got a heat light on a thermometer. Above them I have my colony of Camponotus hercularis, also known as the Olympians. Yeah, they're doing well. There's probably, well, I know there's 5 workers. I've actually been very reluctant to look in the test tube ever because they're so sensitive to noise and vibrations. I just want to leave them to it the best I can. To start with, I didn't see much of them. They would come out probably once every couple of weeks, grab a worm, take it back in, and they wouldn't even bring their rubbish back out. They just left them to get mouldy. So after I moved them out of that mouldy test tube and put them in this outworld, they've actually been doing alright. They come out almost every day now, normally just to build up their barrier a bit more, add a bit more sand to it. They have been eating a bit of protein and they love their carbs. That cotton candy sugar stuff from the ant lady, I highly recommend it. I use it with all my colonies and they absolutely love it. Behind them we have my daughter's colony, the imposters, Lasius niger. All of the lighter sand is what they've dug out of the tunnels below. We're going to need a bit of a water top up today. Again, they love their protein, been eating really, really well. If I just pull this back gently, super gently, super gently. We do have visual access into some of the tunnels. Sorry about the reflection from that light above, but still very cool to see, and I will get some better footage of that and feature them in an episode very soon. I know my daughter's been dying to do another one. Above them we have one of our newest colonies that hasn't been featured on the channel yet. Their name is something like Monomorium sububacum or subacum, or I don't know. It's a Monomorium genus species. Anyone that knows Monomorium, they know what a pain they can be. Fall in line with ghost ants and Argentine ants and that sort of thing. They get loads of queens, loads of workers, really fast development. You can't really see many in the outworld at the minute. They're probably all in the test tube after eating yesterday. But yeah, they can be a right pain. You have to be on top of your barriers. I wouldn't recommend them to a new ant keeper. It's definitely for a bit more of an experienced ant keeper. They do like a little bit of heat as well. So basically high humidity, little bit of heat. But it's really the barriers that you have to be on with this species. If they get out, you end up with thousands of workers nesting in the cracks of your house. You end up with multiple queens throughout your house, and it will spread like a nasty disease. So that's this one. They will get their own episode soon where we will name the colony, but I wasn't going to show you them until they're a little bit further on. And next, and just above them on my top shelf, the Red Army. I recently moved them into this new test tube. That was fairly simple. That old one was actually turning yellow with the water. I put them in this tubs and tubes setup. It's a little bit large for them, but I'm doing everything within close proximity to their entrance of the test tube. It's just the queen and 3 workers still. There hasn't been any brood development, hasn't been any kind of recovery since we had our disaster a while back. This isn't a great sign. I mean, single queen colony, Myrmekaruba, tend not to do very well anyways. The queens do rely on each other quite a lot. So we might well see the end of this colony soon. I'm going to carry on feeding them, and they have been taking in protein again recently, which they've only started doing since going in this new outworld. So things might change, they might get better, but we might see the end of them soon. Of course, I've still got a Mesobarbarus redhead queen in my cupboard. Last time I checked, she had 1 worker. I'm going to leave it another 2 weeks, and then I'll check again. Hopefully she'll have a few more hatched by that time. And that's it really. We've got lots of new insects and things. I could show you the other stuff, but this is only an ant update. If you're interested in any of the other species I keep or any of my ants, just give me a message, leave me a comment, and feel free to subscribe and leave me a like in the thing below. I hope this hasn't been a completely useless video, and I'll see you again, ant fans.